Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of a new Trekkie. My 5-year mission to search out Star Trek media, to seek out our fans and merchandise, to boldly go where no fan has gone before.
Scott King here, taking over hosting duties for this episode of Journey with a New Trekkie, and I wanted to share a personal Trek story of something that happened recently in my life. And I actually got to see William Shatner live, and it was amazing. So here's how it goes. William Shatner was going to show up to an event that, before he actually came out on stage, it was going to be a showing of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. And originally, I was not intending to go because I thought it would shatter the illusion of, they say never meet your hero. But I personally thought it would shatter the illusion that I've held for, damn near 25, almost 30 years. And the more I thought about it, I was like, well, if the opportunity arises and I get the opportunity to buy a ticket, because tickets were sold out by the time I made this decision, I decided I was going to go if I was able to. And fate is funny because the Saturday before, a friend of mine came to me and said, my brother-in-law was going to go with me, but he is sick. Would you like to go instead and buy his ticket? I said yes. I bought the ticket, and that Wednesday we were off. So we went to town, walked 2 city blocks from our parking spot because we knew that it was going to be damn near impossible to find a parking spot. And we go into where they were holding the event, and there's all these Trekkies, generations and generations of Trekkies. The first group of people I saw, I absolutely got a kick out of. They all had t-shirts, each one of them, and it spelled out Khan, just like across all 3 of their t-shirts, and I thought that was just freaking hilarious. I go here and I walk up to the balcony. I think it was second balcony. And I look over the edge and I see this whole sea of Trekkies. I've never seen in my life this many Trekkies outside of a convention. And it was just spectacular. So, of course, we're, sitting overlooking the balcony, waiting to go in. Eventually, they let us in. We find our seats, our designated seats. And I'm looking over the balcony. I see all these, Trekkies, everybody getting excited. And we sat there probably about, a good hour before a woman comes out on the stage and says, "Hey, how's everybody doing?" Everybody cheers. She's like, "Are you ready for Wrath of Khan?" And everybody's like, "Yeah." "Are you ready for William Shatner?" "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, you'll get to see him after the movie. Here's Wrath of Khan." So everybody sits through Wrath of Khan, and I'm sitting there, and I'm getting more and more anticipated as I'm going for the movie. And then eventually the movie's over, and somebody comes out and says, "Are you ready for William Shatner?" Everybody's like, "Yeah." So finally, William Shatner comes out. Everybody cheers. And seeing William Shatner, let alone meeting him, is a really surreal experience. And I don't know if you're religious or not, but meeting William Shatner is comparable to meeting Jesus, because you've held this belief that he exists and that he's out there and that someday you'll see him. And when you finally do see him, It's like an out-of-body experience. I don't know if that's the right analogy, and if you get mad, I apologize. That's just how the experience felt to me. It's just really odd when you see your childhood hero in the flesh for the first time, coming out on that stage. He begins to talk, and then all of a sudden your mind just feels weird. Like, is this happening? Is this actually happening? Is this Captain Kirk himself? And then eventually your mind accepts it, and you're like, wow, I'm looking at the living, breathing Captain Kirk. Of course, William Shatner has done more than Star Trek. In fact, when he came out on stage, I mean, he mostly talked about Star Trek, but he also talked about his experiences on Star Trek V. Of course, he directed it. He talked about it for a good while. And then, of course, he talked about going to space. And he talked about his history in Hollywood and his past acting experiences. And he talked a little bit about James Spader from Boston Legal, which I thought was pretty cool. Boston Legal is one of my ever favorite, William Shatner shows that's non-Trek related. Of course, I am a big fan of T.J. Hooker also. But it was just such a surreal experience. And the thing is, when you see or meet William Shatner, especially at the age that he is now, he's in his 90s, this could be one of your last opportunities to meet a living legend of essentially old Hollywood, because he is of what I call a classic breed of movie hero or television hero. And it just feels so, it feels like, you see this legend, and if you get the opportunity to meet someone like that, you need to take that opportunity, because you are literally seeing not only a legend, but history right in front of you. And you need to take the dive no matter how much it costs. A lot of people would probably disagree with that. I don't care. But it's just something you need to do. I know that one of the stories that William Shatner told on stage that I really got a kick out of was when he was basically messing with DeForest Kelley, and he kept stealing his bagel, putting it back, stealing it, putting it back from the toaster. And actually, you can find this story online, but that was one of the stories he told, and I just got an absolute kick out of that. I thought it was just one of the most hilarious things. DeForest Kelley is another Star Trek actor I really appreciated, as well as James Doohan and Nichelle Nichols. And it just, you can't help but love all these people. Of course, he talked about Leonard Nimoy being his best friend. And that one really got to me. Because, as you all know, I don't come on very often. I don't think I've been on here for almost a year doing any kind of thing. I'm always working behind the scenes, ensuring, subjects for episodes and keeping things intact and canon, what have you. And my best friend is actually Steven Tyler, who hosts this. Me and him created this show together, and he is my best friend. He is my Spock to my Kirk, essentially. And yeah, you have to really appreciate your best friends. And hearing William Shatner talk about Leonard Nimoy, which I had no clue that Leonard Nimoy, his nickname was apparently Dick. I had no clue. I don't know if that was just William Shatner telling a joke, which William Shatner did tell quite a few jokes while he was there. My favorite one, of course, was somebody, I don't know if these questions were pre-prepared, if he prepared them himself or what. It's for debate. It's up for debate. But one of them was boxers or briefs. And William Shatner sat there, thought for a second, and said, depends. Which is basically an adult diaper joke, which came off as hilarious. But yeah, I didn't know Leonard Nimoy, apparently his nickname was Dick, and he was talking about, he wrote a book about Leonard Nimoy, and said you can't call a book Dick, even though he realizes because of the title it might sell a lot of copies. But yeah, he was just amazing to meet. And if you ever get the opportunity, well, not meet, I'm sorry, see, I didn't get to meet him. It was very expensive to meet him. If you get the opportunity to see him or even meet him, take that opportunity. Before we go, I want to ask you all a question. What kind of Star Trek subjects would you like us to talk more about? Let us know in the comments down below. We read all of your comments. This is actually the first time I've gotten to ask this question, so you're not going to be asked this very often. So take the opportunity now to type in the comments down below. Tell us what Star Trek subjects we haven't covered yet that you'd like us to talk about. If you'd like us to talk about a particular starship, or if you'd like us to cover a particular subject, such as, for example, Klingon history or Vulcan history or whatnot, or just anything. Tribbles. If you want us to talk about Tribbles, we'll talk about Tribbles until the cows come home, or till the Tribbles come home and multiply, and then all of a sudden you have thousands of them, and yeah, you get the picture. Yeah, this question's not going to be asked very often, so take this opportunity to say it in the comments down below. This could be your one and only chance to have your subject made into an episode. So take that opportunity, do it now, and we'll see you in the next episode.